All right, guys. So the first thing we're going to do tonight is we're going to share this missing person. This is Alexis Castro. Alexis is 13 years old and he went missing from Philadelphia on Easter Sunday. Can everybody hear me? Let me make sure. Throw my earpiece in real quick. Yeah. Okay. Alexis went missing from Philadelphia on Easter Sunday. It says that he was last seen at about 7 p.m. in the 7100 block of Eastwood Street. He was last seen wearing a blue hoodie, black jeans, and black sneakers. If anyone sees him, and they don't have a description of him in the body, that's odd. Okay, it's under the picture. His description is 4 foot 11 inches tall, 80 pounds, thin build, brown eyes, black curly hair. If anyone sees him or knows anything about his disappearance, then please call Northeast Detectives Division at 215-686-3153 or call 911. Again, this is Alexis Castro. He's 13 years old and he went missing about 7 p.m. Easter Sunday from Philadelphia. All right. Isn't he cute? He's so handsome. All right, let me stop this. We are going to get into this here in just a second. Before I get into the meat and potatoes tonight, it is getting very close to July. We're knocking on the door of May right now. So please remember that Jadakiss's family is planning a birthday celebration for her. There's a group posted on Facebook for her. Anyone who wants to volunteer, if you're in the Pensacola area and you want to volunteer to help with the event, um, then please post in the group. As a matter of fact, when I sign off tonight, I will go in the group and make a post where volunteers can like just reply on there, comment on there, and then we'll just have everyone in one place. If you're not in the Pensacola area, but you're able to do something such as donate like balloons or t-shirts or flyers, it'll be a case where there's no money changing hands person to person. It'll be arranged so that, say, if you want to sponsor X amount of t-shirts, you can make a payment for that amount directly to the business that is printing the t-shirts. If you want to sponsor this many dollars worth of balloons, you'll be able to make a payment directly to the business that's providing the helium balloons. I want this to be um, I want this to be done very decent and in order if we do it. I'm really not one for like taking donations and stuff like that. I really don't want to put my hands in that. But because I know that this is for a good purpose to bring awareness to Jadakiss, to her case, because I really feel in my heart that Jadakiss is still out there based on the things that I've heard from people involved with investigating the case. I believe that there is a great likelihood that Jadakiss is still out there and still walking among us. So I just really want to get attention brought to her case. I want awareness brought there. I need eyes on her case and eyes looking for her. We're going to cover her story next week with or without the investigators. I'm just going to go ahead and start giving you background and sharing with you the information that I have been told that I can share so that we can just keep the conversation going about Jadakiss. Um, I was planning to try to go down there in July to be there for the celebrations. Right now, it's not looking like I'll be able to work that out. I'm still trying to figure it out, but because I really would like to be there, get some live footage, talk to her family, like right there, talk to friends, neighbors, whoever might be there. But unfortunately, it's looking like that might not happen. We'll just see. We'll keep praying on it because I really would like to be there. Next order of business is the Bakersfield girls. I found some more information on this, and apparently, the rash of disappearances that we found in November is not the first time. This has been going on for a long time. After I posted the last live, where I was talking about the arrests for trafficking in that area, well, it popped up in my suggested videos feed, a video from one of my favorite creators, Chris Thorns. Make sure you go over to his channel and check out that video. I'll put the link in the description. But apparently in 2019, there were several arrests made concerning trafficking in that area, disappearances of young girls, and different things like that. So this is an ongoing thing over there in Bakersfield. It's like a hotbed. But then again, we did read in that one article that more sex trafficking reports come out of Kern County than any other county in the United States. So yeah, I love Chris Thorne, Sherry. I love his style. He's just straight up, and but he does try to keep it fair and unbiased, but he will let you know what he thinks. And he usually tends to bring 100% factual. I also love that he has the humility that if he makes a mistake or says something wrong, he will come back and correct himself, no problem. And I can respect a person with integrity like that. So tonight we're talking about Orsolya Gaal. I'm not sure if I'm saying her last name right. She is of Hungarian descent, so if I'm saying it wrong, correct me. Is it Gaal, Gal, or Gaal? This is the 51-year-old married mother of two from Queens, New York, Forest Park, who was brutally murdered in her own home and then stuffed into a duffel bag and just discarded about a half a mile away from her home on a sidewalk. More details are coming out. They had already said when I covered it the first time that they believed it was someone that she knew personally and that it was likely a handyman. It was likely a handyman that had done work for the family and with whom she had had an affair. Now, there's going to be a few scandalous details that come out in this. I want to say this. I'm not judging anyone. This woman and her husband, whatever was going on in their marriage, I don't know if they had an open marriage. I don't know if she was sneaking around behind his back. I don't know. And honestly, I don't care. She could have been sleeping with half the Eastern Seaboard, and it would never have given anyone a right to take her life, and especially not to take her life in such a brutal way in the confines of her own home with her 13-year-old son upstairs. So I am not judging her as I'm speaking on these things. I'm only going to speak on the affairs or whatever because it could play, and the police actually believe that it plays a role in this. Okay, so apparently Orsolya was known to have either been actively or in the past having affairs with several men outside of her marriage. And one of them was a handyman who did some work around the house. After she was discovered murdered, the police found phone numbers for 3 men in her phone that they really wanted to track down. And I'm assuming that that's based on like call frequency and most likely text message content is why they wanted to. Yeah, she was stabbed 58 times. Um, but I assume it was because of text message content that they could tell that it was more than just, a message to a friend or a message to someone who's doing some work for you or whatever. So of course, whenever you find a situation like this, the first people who are going to be suspected are the people closest to you, your spouse, your boyfriend, um, outside of them, other family members who live in the home, other family members with whom you would likely be close, even if they don't live in the home. And then out from there, people you have a relationship with, people you might be enemies with, or who might consider you an enemy. So it's just process of elimination and common sense and logic. Well, they wanted to track down 3 particular guys that they found their contact information and possibly text message and phone calls in her phone. And now it's been narrowed down to 1 person. They aren't identifying that person by name. They're only saying that it's a handyman that used to do work for them and that she had an affair with him. Another detail that came out is that, and we'll get to this in the story, she was attacked upstairs on the first floor of the house, but she was actually murdered in the basement. So apparently she was probably like hit in the head or something, knocked out or incapacitated, and then taken to the basement and done whatever to and put into a duffel bag. It happened in the middle of the night, which is why her son, who was upstairs, probably didn't hear anything. He was asleep, more than likely, because from the timeline that I've read, this probably happened at about 4 o'clock in the morning, because she was found at about 8 o'clock in the morning. And it says that she was found at about 4 hours after certain events occurred. So the son was probably asleep and didn't have a clue what was going on, especially not if the person snuck up on her and was able to, hit her or whatever without her even knowing that they were there. She wouldn't have had an opportunity even to scream or alert anyone. So let's go ahead and get into this. I have babbled enough. Let me go ahead and play the video. Back that on up. Well, that wasn't a whole lot of a video. Then again, I also did not look at that video earlier. I just assumed it was like in most of these news articles where it's basically the news article only in the video. So let's read this. The fugitive killer who viciously stabbed Queen's mom, Orsolya Gaal, to death inside her Forest Homes Hill left behind a vital clue: a pair of blood-soaked boots, a police source told the Post Wednesday. Cops are running DNA tests on the boots, which officers found in a trash can outside the garage of the Tudor-style house where Gaal was stabbed nearly 60 times early on Saturday, a high-ranking NYPD official said. A handyman who did work at the Juno Street home and who sources said had a fling with Gaal is being sought for questioning in this case, but cops have not yet publicly identified a person of interest or a suspect. You guys forgive me. I keep yawning, and I don't know why. So if I cut out all of a sudden, that's why. Gal, 51, went out to a show at Lincoln Center with friends on Friday evening, then hung out at a bar in her neighborhood. Sources have said, and I've got echo. Why? Oh yeah. Hold on a second, guys. I remember what I did last time. Okay, that should kill the echo. All right. A manager at the Forest Hill Station House told the Post on Wednesday that the married mother of two walked in at 11:24 p.m., had her quote usual Moscow mule unquote, and left around 12:30 a.m. Saturday. The killer of Queen's mom, Orsolya Gaal, left behind a pair of blood-soaked boots in the garage in front of the home's garage, in the garbage in front of the home's garage. That was not a very smart move. That's a beautiful home. Okay. She came alone. She left alone, said the bar manager, Gabriel Veras. Every time I've seen her in my tenure here, she has always had a Moscow mule or two, maybe a bite to eat, Veras added. I've never really seen her coming here with someone else or leaving with anyone else. Police believe Gal was followed home by her killer, who, after murdering her, stuffed her in a duffel bag and dumped her body less than a mile from her home. Grainy video from a neighborhood doorbell camera caught a mysterious figure lugging the bloody duffel bag away from the Gal home around 4:30 a.m. A local resident walking his dog found the remains about 4 hours later. Guys, remember I told y'all I had seen something about them seeing a person with the duffel bag on video, but then I couldn't find the story. So there it is. It was caught on video. Cops said there was no sign of forced entry into the house, leading detectives to suspect the killer knew Gal and was as well as the property. The sources said the handyman wanted for questioning knew where the family kept a spare key. An electrician who said he has worked for Gal and her husband Howard Klein showed up at the home to pay his respects Tuesday, telling the Post he knew her very well but was unaware of any family issues. The electrician also told Fox News that there was a separate door leading into the basement of the house, which he said was outfitted with security cameras. Police have peppered the quiet residential community with wanted posters and are offering a $3,500 reward for information leading them to the killer. And there is the still shot from the video where the person was caught moving the duffel bag. And this is crazy. I mean, you can tell just the way that person's having to like lean into it, that duffel bag is heavy. That ain't just clothes in there. I mean, to a watchful eye. But this is crazy. Like who does this? Okay. They also hope DNA evidence can help crack the case. You don't stick a knife in someone 60 times without getting injured, one high-ranking police source said. You hit someone that hard and you're going to hurt your hand. DNA could have been left behind. And those are some really good points. Like there's no way he didn't leave evidence. No possible way. and then left his bloody boots there. So that's definitely going to have his DNA on the inside, if nothing else. So they're going to end up quickly identifying this person if this person has had a felony almost anywhere, because most states now have it to where if you're convicted of a felony and you end up on probation or sentenced to do any kind of time, that a part of your sentence is automatically that you have to give DNA. And they started doing that back in the, I want to say in the 90s. So if this person has ever had a felony anywhere, then more than likely his DNA is on file with some law enforcement agency. It's in the national database, and he'll be quickly identified through that. If he hasn't, I don't know if New York is one of the states that uses genetic genealogy DNA tracing. I think they are. And if they are, it's possible he could be traced back that way. Most people got a criminal in the family somewhere, even in the best families. So, but yeah, this is a horrible case. This is apparently an interview with the bar manager. So I'm gonna play this one. Can't hear a thing. Can you guys hear this? Because I sure can't. Totally my fault. Totally my fault. Here we go.
Who killed Orsolya Gaal? That remains a mystery tonight as New York detectives try to figure out who was the last person to see her alive in her home in the basement where she was stabbed 60 times. The 51-year-old woman's youngest son was upstairs, her husband and their oldest son out of town. So who was in the house? How did they get in? And why is she dead? Here's NJ Burkett.
Tavern owners in Forest Hills are telling investigators she was a familiar face, that Orsolya Gaal often met friends for drinks in Forest Hills business district. In fact, on the night of the murder, she was drinking alone at the Forest Hills Station House, a bar adjacent to the train station.
Same thing every time, one Moscow Mule. She was a delightful lady to talk to, real classy.
Gabriel Bettis is the bar's manager.
Friday night, she was here around 11:45 to 12:30. She was here alone, business as usual, Moscow Mule, bite to eat. Talked with some staff, she was friendly, and she left alone. Didn't seem like anything was out of the ordinary or unusual.
It may have been the last time she was seen alive. When she returned to her home, she would be beaten and stabbed to death, then and dragged the neighborhood in a large duffel bag, leaving a trail of blood for blocks before being abandoned alongside the Jackie Robinson Parkway. This surveillance image is said to be crucial to the case. A man believed to be the killer, dragging the bag just before daybreak. Sources tell Eyewitness News that Ms. Gaal had contact with at least 3 men that night. One of them, a man who worked on the home, may emerge as a person of interest in the case. Investigators believe the killer is someone she knew well, someone that she had a relationship with, who may have used a key to the back door. The investigation is being headed up at the 112th Precinct. Former NYPD Chief of Detectives Robert Boyce says DNA evidence will likely hold the key to solving the case.
During these violent struggles, more mistakes are made by the perpetrator. and you might be able to get something to identify that person. So that's very probable what will happen.
Investigators insist tonight that no one has been identified as a suspect, but that is expected to change as DNA evidence is processed and analyzed.
Yeah, that is crazy. I had a couple of things marked in this article. I'm not going to read the whole article because most of these articles are basically just rehashing the story. But there are a couple of things that they mentioned in these other articles that kind of stood out to me. This one pointed out that when she returned to her home, she would be beaten and stabbed to death, then dragged through the neighborhood in a large duffel bag, leaving a blood trail for blocks before being abandoned alongside Jackie Robinson Parkway. Investigators believe the killer is someone she knew well, someone that Gaal had a relationship with, who may have used a key to the back door. That thing about the key to the back door is like really oddly specific, because I'm wondering if maybe they saw this on video. It said that her house has like a really, really top-notch security system installed. One of her contractors, as a matter of fact, the electrician that was talking about the separate entry that goes into the kitchen and you can go into the basement from there, that contractor in another article is quoted as saying that she had cameras installed throughout the house. So I'm wondering if they don't even actually have footage of probably the entire incident, or at least what happened upstairs, depending on what room it happened in. I can imagine several scenarios. Most people would have a camera like in their foyer or their entrance area of their home. So if he was waiting for her there to come in, but then again, it's said that she left the bar at like 12:30. There's nothing saying that she went directly home from there that I can recall, but assuming she went directly home, this person would have either had to just been waiting, possibly waiting for the 13-year-old to fall asleep or waiting for her to fall asleep. We don't know. He could have attacked her in her bedroom while she was asleep and then dragged her downstairs. Because we don't know what floor her bedroom was on. And then, what's the odds that they have cameras in their basement? I would assume that if there's an outside entrance to the basement, if there's an exterior entrance to the basement, they probably had cameras there just in case of robbery. But from the description from the electrician, it doesn't sound like there was an external or exterior entrance. It sounds like you had to come in through the kitchen and then access the basement through the kitchen. I don't know. I'm ready for some more details because I'm seriously curious about this case and who it actually turns out to be. Another article mentioned also that her 13-year-old son was actually taken away in handcuffs at first. The articles now are kind of cleaning it up, nicing it up, and saying that he was questioned and released. But some of the older articles actually say that he was taken away in handcuffs to the police station. So I'm assuming that when they first discovered this scene and traced it back to her home, they probably assumed that her son had done this and probably treated him as a suspect off top. All right, we already know she was stabbed 58 times. This article, I'm going to link all these articles in the description but this one on the Independent gives a really good timeline, some really good in-depth detail. And here it mentions the surveillance system. It says an electrician who carried out work for the Queen's home where Orsolya Gaal was murdered says the house was fitted with an advanced surveillance system. So I wondered if also maybe they have actually a picture of the guy's face and that's how they know the handyman is who they need to be looking for. But at the same time, he's the handyman. He's been doing work around that house, so he is more than likely familiar with where the cameras are and was probably able to keep his face off the cameras. Remember, the guy, Troy Driver, was able, when he abducted Naomi Irion, he had scoped out the place. He knew where the cameras were. He knew where to walk, which direction would have his back to the camera, what angle he needed to hold his head to keep his face from showing up. So this person, if it is indeed the handyman who had been working at her house, he would more than likely be able to move around in there without getting his face on camera. Here's an interesting tidbit. Orsolya Gaal went missing 2 years before she was murdered. New York mother Orsolya Gaal was reported missing by her husband 2 years before she was brutally murdered and left in a duffel bag. Howard Klein called 911 just after 7 a.m. on May 29, 2020, to say that his wife had failed to return from a late night stroll the night before. Mr. Klein phoned back about half an hour later to say that Miss Gaal, 51, had been found. So that is thinking it. Let me pause this. This article should give more detail on that. All right, let's see. I'm making myself dizzy spinning this wheel. New York mother Orsolya Gaal was reported missing by her husband 2 years before she was brutally murdered and left in a duffel bag. Howard Klein called 911 just after 7 a.m. on May 29, 2020 to say that his wife had failed to return from a late night stroll the night before. Mr. Klein phoned back in about a half an hour to say that Miss Gaal, 51, had been found. Miss Gaal, 51, was killed in the basement of her home by an unknown attacker, blah, blah, blah. And I guess it's just going to go on to rehash all that, and that's as much detail as we're going to get about her originally going missing 2 years ago. Eh, that's an interesting tidbit, though. Like, yes, Luke, more than a stroll for sure. And like I said, I'm not judging, but sometimes the things that we do can lead us to things that we don't want. I mean, if her and her husband had some type of agreement or some type of arrangement, hey, cool, that's their business. But most times, the things that we do lead us to the things that we encounter that we don't want. It's the people that you hang around. It's the places that you hang around in. Okay, last one is about the text messages. And let's see if this one will give us the right video. Can you guys hear this? Oh no. I can't hear it, so I know y'all can't. Hold on. Text messages. I don't know why the sound won't carry over. Like when you switch which tab you're sharing. All right. Seems like it should by default.
Between 8 and 9 this morning, right here in Queens, not far from Metropolitan Ave at Union Turnpike. According to investigators, they say a woman's body was found inside a duffel bag or a hockey bag.
And this is going to be about the text messages sent to her husband from her phone.
In that area for several hours as they were investigating. A short time later, sources say a trail of blood brought them a few blocks away to this residential neighborhood where we are right now. Again, this is on Juno Street. Investigators right now have not yet identified who the victim at this point is, but police have been here since early this morning as investigators try to piece together what exactly happened in this gruesome, horrific scene. Neighbors, too, are left wondering what went wrong.
You can't reconcile. It's just what a tragedy, just for everybody involved. And you can't reconcile. I think everyone's trying to piece together what's happened.
Check this out.
All right, so that is the last of the articles. We've got plenty of time left. I think what I want to do is I want to open up the panel if anybody wants to hop on and chat for a little bit. Let me get a link here. What is the link? There it is. YouTube Live Studio finally comes in handy for something. So we got about 20 minutes to play with. If anybody wants to hop on, be my guest, literally. But yeah, Frank, I'm going to agree with you. I think that this is an extramarital affair that was ended. And the other person was not happy about that. That's what it sounded like to me. But then again, I think I mentioned that when I first covered the story that it was probably an affair. And I'm wondering who the other two guys was that she had contact with that night. Because it said that she had contact with 3 men that night. So who were the other guys? All right, Trey Kid says the timeline is important for the time she arrived to the house to when she was murdered and when her body was taken out and dumped under the bridge. Oh, well, she wasn't dumped under a bridge. She was actually dumped out in the wide open on a sidewalk about a half a mile from her house. But yeah, the timeline is super important. If she left the bar at 12:30 and it's right down the street, it's not very far from her house. I think one article said like a 10-minute walk. So if she left the bar at 10:30, 10 minutes to get home, she's home by no later than 1:45 in the morning. Then we see this guy on video at 4:30 a.m. with the duffel bag. So that's about 3 hours between the time that she should have arrived home to the time that this guy was seen with the duffel bag. I'm wondering if he was sitting in the house waiting for her the whole time, or if he showed up later. Or maybe she invited him over and something went sour from there. Catching up on the chat here. Okay, you said I think more than one person was involved. The person who carried out the killing and the person on the footage taking out the bag. Why would you why would you think that? I'm interested. Like why would you think it was two different people? Tammy says, how did they know she was having an affair? I got men's number in my phone and not having an affair with none. What if he was infuriated with her? She turned him down. I think that they probably have good, solid reason to believe that she's having an affair because usually when it's a victim, they aren't going to just throw out something like that. Well, in certain cases, they aren't really going to throw out information like that, rumors or whatever that would like hurt the victim's image in a case like this without it being, provable. So 9 times out of 10, she was having an affair, and then she's a native Hungarian. The thought also crossed my mind that maybe this was one of those mail order bride situations, even though they don't actually, it's not actually mail order, but anymore. But maybe it was one of those types of situations because I've actually met, but they were Filipino. I've actually met women that I worked with on jobs who were basically mail order brides. They're Filipino, these American guys, they go over there and marry them, bring them over here to have a wife. As a matter of fact, the place we just moved from, that apartment complex, there was a family like that living right next door to us. So maybe it was that kind of situation. Maybe she was like a trophy wife or something when he was young. I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas, speculation. And I think that that's reasonable speculation under the circumstances until we know more. Their camera all through there. Everyone needs to look at their camera. Yeah, I'm sure everyone's looked at their cameras by now, trying to see what they could see. Try mentioned the number of stabs. Yeah, that right there, when I heard that it was like almost 60 stab wounds, that right there screamed personal. Actually, a stabbing period screams personal, because one thing that they always say when you're looking at cases like this, that stabbings and strangulations are usually very personal because it's intimate. You get close to the people. It's not like shooting. Shooting can sometimes like happen to intimate people intimately, to family members or spouses or whatever. But stabbing and choking are known to be like intimate personal stuff. It's usually the method that like a spouse would use, or a child, or Frank, I do have, you asked if I have a website or something for research. No, I don't have a website for research into mail order brides. I knew like two of them that I worked with, and then the one that lived like next door to me where I just moved from. I didn't really know her because she was kind of weird. She wouldn't really talk to anybody, but you could tell that that's what that situation was just by the way the guy acted. But then I've even here recently, like in the last 6 months, there was a couple of stories that I read, and I don't really remember the details, but it was involving basically like mail order bride. Oh my goodness, Frank. It's definitely personal. I live in Queens. Nothing bad really happens in those neighborhoods. It's quite a night around there, which is why it's quiet at night around there, which is why this case is scary. Yeah, it doesn't look like the type of neighborhood where you expect to find a body in a duffel bag on the sidewalk first thing in the morning. It just really doesn't. And just listening to um, the neighbors who spoke, because there was more than just that one neighbor who spoke on camera, listening to the neighbors who spoke, it just doesn't come across as the type of neighborhood where, you know, people are doing crazy stuff on a regular basis. So, all right, we're gonna have to find Frank a mail order bride. So maybe next live stream we'll do live research into mail order brides, costs, terms and conditions, legal loopholes. All right, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and end this. I'm actually really tired, but I wanted to come on and bring these new updates. I really appreciate everybody who came in, watched the live tonight. I saw some new names in here. Thank you for being a part of the stream. Please like and share and subscribe. I will be bringing more and better content because my channel has an angel who truly blessed me to be able to get on here more often and to give better quality content. And I am so appreciative to that person. Guys, I will see you in a couple of days. I will not go live tomorrow and not Friday. I might do a live Saturday. Yeah, don't forget to sub. I need a little less than 120 more subs to get that community wall so that I can just share things really easily, especially Amber Alerts, Silver Alerts, and other missing person information. It is essential that when there is a missing person out there, that we can get their face, their name, their information out there ASAP. That is not something that you really want to take the time to try to make a video or, you know, all this other kind of stuff. You want to throw together a little 2-minute flyer with their name and their information and be able to post it quickly, because time is of the essence, especially when it's a missing child. I believe the statistics say that abducted children are usually, if they're going to be murdered, they're murdered within like the first 3 to 6 hours or something like that. So it is vital to be able to share that information quickly. Please like, share, and make sure you subscribe. Please invite your friends to subscribe. And that is it. I'm out of here. Love you guys. Thank you for joining me, and good night.